Awesome. Well, thanks guys for showing up. I'm going to start us off. The investment highlights here: 7% preferred return, projected IRR of 15%. We've got 1.55 million shares available at $1 a piece. We're excited to present this opportunity. It's been a while since we've kind of done a project, and the current market conditions with the rising interest rates, things have started to kind of like stabilize a little bit, and we're optimistic. We're seeing some more deals cross our desk, and we are super excited about this one. If you guys don't know already, my name is AJ Shepard, co-founder with my brother Chris. This is kind of all the information about me. If you guys ever have any questions, happy to answer more. And I'm going to let Chris talk about himself a little bit.
Yeah, AJ and I started Uptown Properties in 2011. We started buying properties in 2009 together when I moved here to Portland. AJ was already here since 2006, and we were both born here, and we just love the Northwest. And so it's a lot of fun to kind of build something and have it be a family business. And honestly, the guys sitting here, and Devin and Trent, they feel like family, and Nez as well. So it's a great team. So Trent, go for it.
Yeah, I'm Trent Warner. I've been with Uptown for about 5.5 years now. I'm currently in the role of asset manager for Uptown Syndication, born about half a mile away from our office. I'm also a realtor in Oregon and Washington.
Yeah, my name's Devin Kelly. I'm the newest member of the team. I was brought on board in November. I was spending some time in Aspen, Colorado, where I had a property management company, and born and raised in Portland, Oregon, fifth generation Oregonian, and excited to kind of get my feet wet and do some syndication deals.
Hello, everybody. I'm Nez. I've been with Uptown for 3 years now as a syndication assistant.
Syndication rock star.
Rock star,
yes. Of course.
If you guys have been in some of our deals, Nez really does all the work.
She is absolutely amazing. Okay, I'm going to go through our track record real quick. Our first syndication that we did was in Tualatin, is Southwest 731 to 768, Southwest 68. We bought the deal for $1.2 million. Was that a little bit of a hairy deal? Actually, we were expecting to get a Freddie Mac loan on it, and we ended up having to get a hard money loan because the property was in such bad condition. We were able to negotiate the purchase price lower, and now we have it listed on the market for, I believe, $2.1 million, and we'll be hitting our investors' returns as long as we sell it for, I think, 1.9. But as AJ mentioned, the real estate multifamily market, has, with interest rates, has taken a little bit of a downturn, and so we're kind of nearing the bottom, or we're on our way up of the kind of commercial real estate cycle. So when we jump to the next one, talking about Huber, we bought this deal in 2020, kind of late November 2020 for roughly $1.8 million. It's just kind of a good bread and butter deal. We increased rents probably by about 20% and implemented RUBS, which is essentially our bread and butter strategy. We're looking for properties that are kind of undermanaged, where we can implement our technology, utility bill back, and increase rents a little bit, and use our superior advertising skills. So Huber is another deal that's on the market. We expect to hit our investors' returns on that property as well. The next deal we did is pretty close to Uptown Market, our little bottle shop on 217 and Denny. This was a fun project. I especially like this one because the value add was it's a pretty large garden style property with a lot of landscaping, and we made private yards for 90% of the units and reduced our landscaping bill by quite a bit and added value to each unit. We increased rents by probably 25 or 30% and implemented RUBS. It's one of our best properties. Yeah, okay. Executive Arms. So this is part of a portfolio that we purchased from Joe Weston. And it's just a great bread and butter deal. We did have some roof issues, but we knew that through our due diligence. And so we spent $100,000 replacing the roof. And that property is humming along. We've increased rents, I think, by 35 or 40%, and implemented RUBS. We've remodeled about, I think, 10 of the 25 units. Thorn Street portfolio is 14 houses that we purchased in 2014. It's an awesome deal because we were able to put together kind of a win-win with the seller who, really just wanted to have income from the rest of her life. So we did an owner carry and got to display some of our creative financing skills and just getting creative on particular deals. So yeah, that's Thorn Street. And I'll hand it off to Trent for Tapiola Manor.
Yeah, so this is Tapiola Manor. It's a 30-unit complex, all 2-bedroom units. Most of them are 2 1.5s, and then there's a couple of 2 1s in there. Used to have a pool when we acquired it in 2022. Bought it for 6.3. Raised $2 million of investor funds for this deal. Since 2022, we've renovated 16 of the units. 11 of them were done within the last year. So we've definitely put in quite a bit of work at this property, as well as revamping the exterior and the lighting of the property. It's pretty dark there because there's not a whole lot of street lights. So we put in a lot of time and effort to make the place feel like home and safe for our tenants out there. And this one is 100% occupied, or actually we just got 2 notices. So we'll get those units turned over and re-rented. Next one that we'll talk about is a 47-unit deal that we bought last year. Bought it for 10.7, raised 5.1 on this deal. And as you can see there in the courtyard, there's a pool and on-site laundry with that just got redone last year as well. And this is a good mix of flat apartments, 1-level apartments, as well as some 2-bedroom townhouses and 3-bedroom townhouses and apartments as well. This one's located right in Cedar Mill off Cornell and Murray. And then we also have Summerfield Loop. This one's out in Happy Valley. It's 6 duplexes for 12 units total. It's a mix of 3 bedrooms and 4 bedrooms. The cool thing about this one is each townhouse has its own tax plot. So if we wanted to, we could, sell them off one by one. We bought this one for 3.2, raised 1.4 million on this one. And just hypothetically, if we were to sell all of them off for, 400,000, that would bring in 4.8 million. So kind of a cool deal there. And then just a little bit more about Uptown Properties as well as our construction company. So we manage about 800 doors right now. We have, I think, 24 people on staff. We manage 4 apartment complexes that are over 50 units. And then we manage an owned portfolio of 80+ doors. Our construction side of things, we do the maintenance and the construction for our property management company, as well as the, some of the CapEx projects at syndication. There's 4 employees with I don't even know how many vendors we have at this point. And then we've completed 40+ apartment remodels in 2023, and that was just for our syndication portfolio. I think it was 42 to be exact. And then over the last 8 years, we've done over 2,000 work orders, maintenance work orders. Now I will let Devin talk about the property that we're here to talk about today.
Yeah, sorry, I'm a little blind here. Yeah, first and foremost, we really appreciate you taking the time. And Miles and Raymond, welcome to the chat here. So now for the reason why we're all here, this great opportunity, I feel like we really caught a diamond in a rough here, where there's just not a lot of availability in Cornelius. And if you're not familiar, it's just about 23 miles outside of Portland. It's called Midland Manor Apartments. It's located at 522 North Adair Street in Cornelius. And it's comprised of 9 buildings. It's got 27 units, a mix of 23 1-bedroom, 1-bath, 3 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and 1 3-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 1-bath house. It was built in 77, and it's on 6 tax lots and almost 2 acres. In the last 10 years, one thing we really like about Cornelius in the last 10 years, it's experienced some of the highest home appreciation rates of any community in the nation. So we're seeing kind of an influx from Portland, expanding the growth. There's not a lot of inventory, price rents going up in Portland. So people are really looking kind of out into the suburbs a little bit. And it's right by wine country as well. So it's, again, it's kind of right in the northwestern part of Washington County, and it's part of the Portland metropolitan area. It's conveniently located. It's near major highways, including Highway 8 and 47. So you have good access to Forest Grove, the beach, Portland. It's kind of very easy access pretty much to Hillsboro and all the other parts of Oregon. It's also a popular destination spot. So you got a lot of vineyards out there. So Oregon wine country, known for Pinots. You got David Hill Vineyards and Winery, Oak Knolls out there, Dairy Creek, Neon Vineyard, Plum Hill, a dairy winery, and the Fahrenheit wetlands. So some good recreation as well. And it's got a lot of higher education. So you're minutes away from Pacific University. You got Portland State University, Portland Community College, Oregon Health and Science University, and all on the bus line. So it's really really easy to get to. As you can kind of see, those are kind of the 9 buildings on top. So, or sorry if I can see here. Yeah, we've got, this is the 3-bedroom on the lower left there. That's 3-bedroom, 1-bath. Then you've got the other 9 buildings located with the stars. And so you can kind of see it's right on the main thoroughfare there of Baseline and 4th Street and Adair. And you've got plenty of parking. So you got 50 parking spots. You've got some lots over across the street there that's also potentially could be developed on. I'll let them talk about that a little bit later, but it's really laid out nicely in terms of location. It doesn't really get much better than that. It's corner lots, cedar lap siding, concrete foundation, composition roof, and it's just across the street from the Walmart Supercenter. It's also right across the street from the Wilco, Jubit's Truck Stop, Fred Meyer's. You've got 3 grocery stores. You have 42 food and beverage restaurants, 14 shopping stores, 3 parks, 4 sports and recreation facilities, and it's under a half mile from the fire department as well as the police department. Amongst that, which makes it very convenient, is 12 bus stops within 3/4 of a mile and 6 different bus lines. So that's why I really like the location. The purchase price is $2.85 million, which makes a cost per unit about $105,000, $550 a door, which is really good. That was one of the things that really attracted us to us in the beginning. It's currently 100% occupied, and a lot of those tenants have been there for a decade. So it's there's just not a lot of availability in Cornelius. Another reason that we really like it. Current rents are at $870. Well, I'll let they'll kind of talk about that later in the financials, so I don't want to get ahead of myself. But yeah, 50 on-site spots, parking, and just a really good, conveniently located place. So now I'll just turn it over to Trent, and he's going to talk about the value add.
Yeah, thanks, Devin. So yeah, Devin obviously covered the makeup of this property, 9 buildings. Currently, the ownership is a trust, and there's quite a bit of deferred maintenance that we noticed during our inspections. That kind of plays into the capital budget here. We have $415,800 for capital improvements, a lot of which are deferred maintenance. I'd say a majority of them are going to be exterior, painting the buildings, improving the landscape redesign. 3 of the roofs are in the budget, as well as restriping the parking lot and just kind of improving that surface. There is quite a bit of deferred maintenance on the inside of units, but it's all pretty basic, straightforward stuff, electrical, plumbing, as well as flooring and paint and all that fun stuff, which is nothing that we haven't handled. Our value add plan for this property, as well as a lot of our other projects that we've worked on, is implementing RUBS. Currently, the ownership group pays for a bulk of the utilities, and getting those costs back to the tenants will help our bottom line significantly. So Rent increases and RUBS notices will go out right after closing, so those take effect as soon as possible. And then I think this first year of ownership will focus on the exterior projects as well as any unit turns that may pop up with people giving notice to vacate. Another slide just kind of talking about deferred maintenance and unit turns. And then here's a breakdown of the budget here. So like I said, $415,800 for construction cost. A bulk of this is going to be exterior. And then we do have budgeted in here 11 units. I don't think we'll run through this entire budget in the first year. We will focus on the exterior stuff that needs to get done, and then we'll address the unit turns and some of the other deferred maintenance items that pop up as we approach them. And then down here at the bottom, you see the breakdown of some of the other costs, and then total project cost of 3.3 million with a target raise of just shy of 1.55. Now AJ is going to talk about the local rent market here.
Yeah, so this is kind of the rent matrix that we put together. Current rents are running right around 900, maybe 870. So what we've done in this particular kind of meld of rents is put together, like, we've got 10 of the classic units. We kept that at 870. And then as we update, I think I've got 13 or 16 in there total that we're going to update. And we've only budgeted those rents at 1050. In the next few slides, I'll kind of go over some of the comparables, but one of the real opportunities that we think that this project has is we feel that we are super conservative on these rents. We know that there's not a lot of product in this particular area. And again, in the next couple slides, I will talk about that, but typically we use this rentometer report, and this is usually fairly accurate. In this scenario, because of the lack of supply, we didn't feel it was prudent to actually use these numbers. Not to say that we can't achieve them. I mean, even the 25th percentile is indicating above 1250. And from our 1050, that's an additional almost 20% in potential rent increases. One thing Trent maybe didn't quite mention is, we're not in the business of kicking people out directly. We will go in and raise rents, and as they move out and turn over, we will fix them up. So we can't really predict exactly how many turnovers we're going to do in the first year or the second year. But we do know that as we raise those rents up to more market rates, that more people will decide to do something else. Currently, we kind of believe that this is probably a D+ property. And our hopes is that with the landscape plan and fixing up kind of the outskirts of it, and probably get it to a C+, maybe a B-. It's just pretty tough being on those high traffic roads to really get the class of the property up any higher than that. So really, we're just excited about the potential in rent increases. So we pulled these comps, and these are still within like 3 miles away. There really isn't anything within the city of Cornelius. And Devin kind of went over, like, there's a bunch of wineries, there's a bunch of service stuff, like there's higher universities, like they all need workers. And currently the property is at the very, very low end of supply in the area. So we believe that we're going to be able to improve the living conditions of what is there. And we believe that we're going to be able to get up to certainly some of these levels here. This upper left one at 1095, that is kind of the lowest on the market currently. And that would be just kind of what we would anticipate we could get the existing rents up to. And then these other comparables are for more renovated type units. And you can even see that lower left one, it does not look updated at all, and it's still going for 1250. So we really believe that in our assumptions and our pro forma here, that we're super conservative on what the rents are going to be. It's just hard to determine at what time frame we're going to be able to get them up to that. with the rents being so low as they are, we would anticipate there'd potentially be people staying longer than what we would want. So we will just be diligent about raising those rents and implementing RUBS in hopes that we can renovate some units sooner than needed. So yeah, in the market, from our perspective, the last year, specifically over this last winter cycle, we saw up to a 5 to 7% decrease in rents. And finally, as we're coming into the spring and summer here, we're seeing rents back to the level of over the last month, kind of back up to what we saw about a year ago. And with inflation kind of going the way it is, we anticipate to see rents increasing at a more normal clip over the next few years. Next slide. I'm going to turn it over to Chris to talk more in depth about the pro forma.
Okay, yeah. I guess one thing to note, like this property is workforce housing. So it is a need for the community, and there's not very many units available in Cornelius. So that's a great thing. And there is development going on in Cornelius. There's a pretty large townhome development going in. I want to say that it's about 600 units. And so, there's going to be more construction, and the area is growing. So that's one of the things that we really want to highlight. Okay, I am going to talk about the profit and loss. So these are the assumptions that we're basing our projections on. So if we just start in the top left, year one, we're assuming we're going to be able to increase rents from that roughly $870 a month to $1,073 in the first year. So we're expecting to average $1,073 in year two. And I think that this is highly doable. During the first year, we'll be able to increase rents by 10% in the first 3 months. All of the units are month to month. And then on month 15, we'll be able to increase them again by 20%. And so that gets us there. And I believe that we'll be able to average that, assuming that nobody moves out. For the first year, we've assumed 7% vacancy and 5% bad debt, which amounts to 12% of economic vacancy. I think that's a pretty conservative assumption. We've also assumed higher expenses, nearing a 50% expense ratio. And the net operating income is in line with the current rent roll as it is right now. And so our goal is to refinance the property at the end of year two. If Trent, if you can get me to the next slide. This is our exit strategy. So part one of our exit strategy is to refinance the property at the end of year two. We have structured our loan to have a lower prepayment penalty at the beginning of year two. So it's a 3-2-1 step down. So we'll have a 1% prepayment penalty. And the assumption is we're going to be able to get a 65% loan at a 6% rate with the property value appraised at $4.05 million and a net operating income of $220,000. So I think these numbers are achievable, especially when we're going to be increasing rents about 23%. So with the refinance, we expect the gross proceeds to be about half of the funds that we raise. And that will leave the capital account at about $830,000. And so I guess then stepping on to part two of the exit strategy, this will be the sale of the property around year 5, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7. One of the things to talk about is the commercial real estate market is currently nearing the bottom. And so one of the assumptions that we're making is that we're getting a good deal on this property, and cap rates are higher than they've been. And after 5 years, we expect to sell the property at either the same cap rate or hopefully better. And as well, the assumption that we're making is the net operating income. We're basing that net operating income off of the 1050 rents, like that, and we're really hoping that we're going to be able to get the $1,200 comparable rents in the marketplace as we remodel these units and stabilize and just increase the overall value of the property. And so if we move on to the next slide, we can chat about the projected returns. So the projected return for the limited partners is 15.04% internal rate of return, which is essentially a compounded annual return. And part of that is returned in year 2 or at the end of year 2, beginning of year 3 of the return of capital. And then the return, cash on cash return on investment is projected to be $32,000 in year 1, which is lower than the 7% preferred return. So we're projecting that the cash flow available in year 1 may be less than the 7% preferred return. We do expect to get it there in years nearing there in years 3 and 4, but we'll be paying out cash flow as we can. The overall property is expected an 8% cash on cash return overall. And so if we break it down to, if someone invested $50,000, the expected return on investment at the end of 5 years would be $28,000 plus the capital returned. So that's the profit being looked at. And so I guess breaking it down, the overall appeal of the investment is the purchase price, and the fact that we're able to have negotiated such a low purchase price on the property. One of the metrics that we look at when we're buying a deal is the 1% rule. So we add up the purchase price plus the cost of improvements and compare it to the rents that we think we can get for 1 month. And if the 1 month's rent divided by the purchase price plus improvements equals 1%, then we know we have got ourselves into a really good deal. This one, I believe, is right at the 1% deal or 1% rule. Most of the other syndications that we have done did not meet the 1% rule, and those have all been fantastic returns as well. So that's what's exciting about this one. As well, I think the refinance is going to turn out better than we're projecting, but we have underwritten that conservatively. Our profit split on this particular deal is 60% to limited partners and 40% to the sponsoring partners. Class A shares are limited for limited partners. Class B shares are the sponsor shares. AJ and I are absolutely investing in this property. Somewhere between 50 and 100 grand ourselves. We're very excited to close this deal. So yeah.
But at that point, we have frequently asked questions here, but since we've got you guys live, I figured we'd open it up to questions. If you want us to go to a specific slide, just say so, and just, I guess, kind of unmute yourself and let us let us know what you got for us.
Hey Trent, it's Chris. I got a question. Could you go and show off like what land is included in this deal? Especially like along the streets. I think you had a picture of one of the intersection. Like, is there extra land available that could be used for like extra income things like food trucks or anything of that kind of nature?
So yes, Trent, if you show the lower left part, so we do not, the land to the, what is that going to be, the east side of the two duplexes in between Baseline and Adair, that is not included, but there is extra land right there on that 504 piece of property. So yes, I mean, there is potential. We potentially could put storage over there as well. You know, so there's opportunities.
We forgot to mention too, there is a laundry room, so there's laundry income. And there is an office and another storage room on that north side there at the kind of jut out. So
There's 2 parking spots for either RV or boats, which additional income can be generated from as well.
yeah, there's some opportunities there, but we didn't model it out because without being there and operating yet, we didn't want to include that. But yes, there is additional potential.
Hey guys, had a question. This is Ray.
Yep. go
Hey,
for it.
Red,
Hey guys.
welcome.
Hey, thank you. I just one quick question is, being in the great state of California here, is there a requirement for an on-site manager for this many units?
No.
Okay. Okay, cool. And then I read in I guess it was somewhere in the presentation that I received, I was looking at something and it said that there was remediation of not asbestos, but mold in the attic. And I'm wondering, is there any concern about a lawsuit from that?
I mean, in our pro forma, we have legal expenses, and that's just something that we put into our profit and loss statement every year. I mean, in our experience, there always is that, I guess, kind of lurking out there. It doesn't happen often as we think. I'm personally not. That's not something that I would be worried about.
Okay.
I think what Chris is trying to say too is that it was selective to, and you and Trent got in all the units. It was only one unit or maybe 2. It's not like a proliferated thing.
Okay.
It's very, very selective and isolated. And we just felt it was prudent to put some money in there to get it dealt with immediately.
There is deferred maintenance at the property, and it's our top priority to get the property up to our management standards.
We've in the construction budget, there's I think a budget to do 3 of the roofs immediately, and I believe that the issue from some of that leaking is what needs to be mitigated. And I don't believe that it's like come down into the units yet.
Gotcha.
So we just know it's there and we want to get it taken care of as quickly as possible.
And then lastly, and I guess this is for Trent, you showed, when you were showing the 4 pictures of the comparable and you're talking about upgrading units, of those 4, there is the one on the lower right. Is that your expectation of what these units will look like when they're completed?
We're going to use our typical model. So
He wants Trent. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Trent.
No, I didn't mean to.
I was the one that talked about this slide, so I was just jumping in.
He wants to hear from Trent. Let's go, Trent.
Yeah, so I think our finished product's gonna look better than this personally.
Okay.
Let me find.
Yeah,
Sorry,
if you go to the
skipping
track
through all
record,
this.
we should have
That's a classic unit. So
Yeah.
this one in the middle here is kind of our standard template. We do quartz countertops, white cabinets, stainless appliances, LVP flooring. And so if we compare this middle picture here at Executive Arms, this is kind of like our basic template. So I do think that our finished product will look better than this one right here.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
I would expect that we probably are going to try and save cabinets and either paint, but putting in quartz and making the apartments feel lighter and brighter with the gray and white color scheme is what we'd be going for. But yeah, I don't think that we're going to be putting in new cabinets. And potentially we, might try and save money on the appliances as well. I mean, this is workforce housing, so we want to provide a value to our tenants. Like one of our, I guess, one of the things that we always want to do is we want to make sure that our tenants feel like they're getting a good value and that the property is under market rent, because we don't want them to move. We want them to stay at the property for a long time and take care, and we want to take care of the property, and we want them to take care of our units, and that keeps our turnover costs low, and it keeps our CapEx bills lower, and it keeps our net income higher, and then we're able to return more money to our investors.
Well, yeah, you don't want to over improve the unit either. I mean, let's call it spade a spade, and you see the marketplace. No, I got you. I mean, I'm in the same business, so I get it.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing I'll say about just in terms of unit remodels, these units, when we were walking through them, most of the kitchens are galley kitchens. They're not very big.
Yep.
And so just based on other comparable turnovers, I don't think that there's going to be, if we do have to redo the cabinets, painting the cabinets isn't going to break the bank,
Right.
that sort of thing.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Cheers. Thank you for the questions.
And I think you guys said that everyone was month to month currently. Is there a plan to convert that, or is that like almost a requirement for maybe like seasonality of the workers and whatnot?
So we're stoked that the tenants are month to month, because then we can increase the rent.
Yep.
And I mean, essentially, we're not going to be really upset if they move, because we want to renovate the unit. And I mean, essentially, generally when we acquire a property, it takes about 18 to 24 months to kind of cycle through the tenant base. Like as a new property owner comes in and implements rules and has a lease, and when something's not followed in the lease, and then we send our tenants notices, like that is a pretty large change in dynamic on most of these properties that we acquire. And so like when we're billing back utilities and we're sending the tenants notices, and like having the property be a little more orderly, and like actually having parking spots, we do get a bit of turnover, and it's actually good for the complex because we're cycling through and as well we're able to implement our screening criteria on the new tenants that come in. And so it's kind of cycling through the tenant base. It actually increases the value of the property.
And kind of typical practice from the property management standpoint on, we look at whether they're a renovated unit or a classic unit. A classic unit, we're not so concerned that they're on a lease, but as we get a renovated unit, we certainly try to get them on a lease. And if we rent it out at market rate and we go for the next rental increase or the cycle of it, if market hasn't gone up enough, we'll give them a discount to get on a lease, so that we do generally try to move people from that month to month onto actual leases.
One last question. Do you, and again, excuse my naivete, but do you have protected class tenants up in Oregon? And are any of the tenants that you met would be protected?
We do not have protected class. I
God, I'm
guess I'm
coming back.
not 100% familiar with.
Yeah, Ray, you're out of California, right? So I mean, there's protected classes in Oregon, but there is no like specific to a tenant. So
Right.
like we have Section 8 tenants, but the rental increase laws that we have don't not apply to specific classes. So like the rules that we operate on, every tenant is applicable to those laws.
Okay.
So like it's not like in California where you can't raise the rent
Oh, yeah.
of a single mother during school year or something like that.
Or something like that. Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. That answered that one.
And I guess just talking about rent increases, and so the current law is we can increase the rent up to 10%, unless CPI is less than 3%. And so that's the maximum we're allowed to increase the rent each year, and we can only implement a rent increase once per year. And
we can only do a rent increase every rolling 12 months.
yeah,
Yeah.
every
rolling
12 months. Yep.
Yeah.
And so those are the rules we're operating by. It's not in the city of Portland. There's no specific county or city overlays that we have to deal with. And I guess with RUBS as well, implementing utility bill back, which RUBS and utility bill back are the same thing. There's no specific regulation in regards to that. So we can bill back utilities and increase rent kind of in that first 3 months. So that'll be our plan. First 100 days is to get all of those implemented and to start the communication with the tenants, and then try and get as much exterior work done as we can. To
also during the summer months when it's nice out and easy to do exterior work.
Yeah, we're gonna have to remove the sign that says free water.
There is a sign on baseline that says free water and sewer.
That'll be coming out day one.
Yeah. Phase one. Yeah.
Hey guys, can I throw in a question real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, is
Thanks.
that Paul?
This is Paul Norgat. Nice to see you
Hey,
guys.
I recognize your voice from all your albums.
Oh, stop it. Yeah, I don't have my photo going because I was on the bike while I was chiming in. But hey, so something that jumps out at me, and I may have missed it at the start, is if I look at owner occupied ratios in Cornelius versus let's say Portland Metro as a reference point, a benchmark. Portland Metro's got about about 50% owner occupied versus rentals, and Cornelius has got about a 75% owner occupied. So that says to me a significant opportunity for multifamily or for rental units. It seems to support that. And if you did say that earlier, I apologize, but I think it's a worthy statistic.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that exact statistic, but there is certainly a lack of supply in the area, and the building that is going on is single family. The most of the building that is going on is it's either build to rent, single family homes, or just townhomes or homes for purchase. And Cornelius is actually very close to Pacific University, and so if getting the college student who doesn't mind living an extra 10 minutes away, I think that as we get through our value add plan, we will be able to get that type of tenant.
Yeah, and I think as Chris touched on earlier with the Laurel Woods development, it's 113 acres with 660 attached dwellings, 158 duplexes, 87 townhomes, public parks, recreation. There's going to be a lot of people working on that project for years to come. So I think that's also, you know, a good opportunity for the workforce and even more, you know, demand when there's not a whole lot of supply.
Last question, because I don't want to dominate, but how are you guys thinking you're going to be perceived when you come in by with the existing residents? Because you know, we got, I mean, I'm looking at this picture and I'm all for striping and letting people know where they're supposed to park because it looks a little helter-skelter. But I'm wondering who's going to be the fall guy to go down there with the flak jacket and kind of, oh, Trent's going to be the guy. Okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's, yeah.
Yeah, so on some of our other projects, there was definitely that question going into it. After working on some of the other projects that are closer to this setup or style, you know, there's always that kind of tension when you first get going, and then once you actually start doing what you say you're going to do, the tenants come around to it, as well as that turnover that Chris was talking about. You know, once we get through some of the turnover and there's different tenants going in there, I think they appreciate the maintenance and the upkeep and the work that we do at these projects. And then the ones that do stay and, you know, continue living there, I think they appreciate a safer, nicer living situation that we provide.
Okay.
But there's definitely pushback at the start. I will admit that.
Well, this definitely looks, I mean, you said it was in a trust, so I've got to assume that they've owned this property for quite some time. And if it was anything like my grandparents and how they did it, they got used to, okay, I know it's 7 o'clock at night, but come over and fix my drains. Yeah, it'll be a little different now.
Yeah, there was an on-site manager that is in the single family home, and as they've gone through the sale, I believe that their plan is to move out immediately. So there will be, you know, some significant changes for the tenants, but they're all changes that bring us into, you know, the way things work nowadays, and overall it's going to be good.
For sure.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Trent, why don't you go to the frequently asked questions page and we can just kind of touch on a couple of those. All right. How long will the value add project take? So the first part of it we should be able to accomplish in the first 100 days. Now the second part, Trent, why don't you kind of touch on how long do you think it'll take to stabilize the property and get closer to our targeted rents in year 2?
Yeah, I think 18 to 24 months is probably a good target goal. I kind of mentioned it when I was going over the construction timeline. I don't think we're going to use all of the construction budget in the first 2 years even. But there's definitely going to be a good push for the exterior work and some of that deferred maintenance work that we talked about in that first 6 to 8 months, as well as getting those rent increases and rubs going in the first 100 days. So I think realistically, we can probably achieve 40, maybe 50% of it in the first 12 to 18 months. And then we're just going to have to let the turnovers and the property run its course to get the rest of the unit turns done and some of the other items that are on that list.
Okay. What is the anticipated time period until sale? You know, this one is really market dependent. We want to earn the best possible return for everyone who invests in the property. And, you know, it really depends on the cycle. There's a chance that we could sell this one quickly and then, you know, have a 1031 exchange opportunity, you know, in the next 3 years. But as well, the market might really take its time coming around, and cap rates might be sticky, and you know, and we might be holding on for 5 or 6, possibly 7 years. So, but we'll absolutely have a refinance in that time frame, because this property is ideal for a refinance. So there will be a relatively large cash flow coming in the next 2 to 3 years.
Chris, can I interject and ask a question that's not on this? You kind of touched on the prepayment penalty of the debt that's being structured on this one, but
Yeah.
what's the loan term and that sort of thing with the debt on this property?
Oh, the interest rate and the term. So this is a 5-year fixed loan. We're getting it at 6.45%. Or sorry, no, 6.55%. We had to pay a little extra for the prepayment penalty buy down. But since we're getting this deal at such a low price, once we're able to stabilize it, we should be able to refinance it at a much higher appraised value, and that will increase the metrics and the returns quite a bit once we refinance.
I did want to add in there that because of our relationship with the lender and agency, we did go to them and ask for 3 years of interest only.
Oh yeah.
And they made an exception for us to get 3 years of interest only on the loan before we're starting to pay principal. So that certainly helps cash flow in the project.
In years or in months 1 through 36. So that might be a consideration. You know, if inflation is kind of sticky and we're waiting for interest rates to come down a little bit, we might wait to refinance a little bit longer. It just really kind of depends on the commercial real estate market.
Yeah, I mean, over the last year, with the tumultuous way interest rates rose, cap rates have lagged behind, but have come up too. So, as things start to level off and stabilize, typically, in the past, interest rates rise up super quick and then they come down kind of slow. So we're hoping that we are kind of at the top of the interest rate rise and then they start coming down, which is what the Fed has kind of indicated this year. So we'll just see how far that happens over the next couple of years. Again, we come back to we're buying these at $105K a unit. It's an amazing deal on the buy, and that is why we're super excited about it.
Yeah, and as well, we're just very pro Portland. Portland is also kind of in a cycle, and we expect Portland to return to the peak of being popular again. So I guess the growth rate of the city of Portland has gone down pretty significantly since a few years ago, but as rents kind of stay flat, I think that will attract more people back to the city and the suburbs as well. So,
yeah, I mean, even though Portland's plights, we still remain the most affordable city on the West Coast, which is always attractive. So we will continue to see people coming in, hopefully.
Hey guys, one last question.
Yeah.
I swear. Of all of the 7 other projects that you've done,
yeah,
does this one seem like more of a challenge for you, or is this more, hey, we see an opportunity, we're going to do it. And I mean, I see the upside. My question is does it present, it seems like this one is a longer project than the other ones. Is that just based on the sheer deferred maintenance, or
I don't know, Ray? I think so. That first project we did, that 9-unit, we that was a pretty significant project. It didn't even qualify for a loan.
Right.
So we had downed units in that property. One of the units had a hole in it, the crawl space, and people living there and covered in mold.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
So one of the issues that we, may see is that the rents are so low currently, even if we give them max increases, they're still lower than market.
Right.
So if we can't get them out of there to do the renovations, like we're just kind of stuck with a 10% increase each year. So I think we just wanted to be conservative with the timeline. If we find that people are moving out quicker and we get renovations done quicker, it's going to be great. Like that's kind of the best case scenario.
Right.
But the issue is like the rents are really low.
And there's not very much supply.
There's no other supply in
Right.
the area.
So,
Right.
you know, I guess in terms of just like the difficulty or the sheer size of the project, for me, I feel like this one, it just kind of takes bits and pieces from all of our other projects and combines it. You know, we've certainly done all of this stuff before, you know, and maybe it's slightly more, but I mean, we're hungry. Like we haven't done a deal, you know, in 9 months, and our goal is to be doing 4 to 6 every year. So we're very excited to jump on this. We've got vendors who are lining up to do the work, and you know, we're excited to kind of like get moving. And you know, it takes a lot of, I guess, patience and willpower to wait for the right one to come along. And
Sure.
so you know, we're not going to put any deal that we don't believe is going to be a success in front of our investors. And so that's why it took so long to find this one. And if it's, you know, a little bit harder, like it takes a little bit more of our time and attention, you know, that's okay. I'm not as worried about that. I'm more, where I worry is, are we going to be able to achieve our returns? And, you know, with this project, I feel very comfortable presenting it and putting our name behind it.
And you know, one other thing too, like in our marketing, we say we try to buy predominantly 2 bedrooms, and this is outside of that. And I think the reason that we're willing to consider it is because of the purchase price and the opportunity for the elevated rents. Like in some aspects, like those opportunities outweigh the necessity for 2 bedrooms. And what our philosophy on predominantly 2 bedrooms is, in a downturn market, people tend to move in with each other. And so those 2 bedrooms can be a more conservative play. And we just feel that because of the lack of supply in this area, that this is still a really conservative play.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. All right, we're at about 5 o'clock, or a little after. So,
yeah, if anybody has any other questions, feel free to reach out to any of us. We're super happy to answer them, and thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Listening to us, we appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
yeah, thanks, Miles. Thanks, Ray. Who else?